Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and not wait till it's Monday on the Tuesday show with Ted and CJ. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and not wait till it's Monday on the Tuesday show with Ted and CJ. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and not wait till it's Monday on the Tuesday show with Ted and CJ. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and not wait till it's Monday on the Tuesday show with Ted and CJ.
We are live.
Once again.
We are live once again.
In your faces and ears.
Back once again. It's the Renegade Master.
E4 Damager.
Yes.
Power to the people.
Absolutely. Freedom for tooting.
Sure.
Well, lots of different references from all different decades there. Right. How are you, CJ? How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been another long week at work, but it's Friday night. We're here. We're ready to go. I'm pumped.
You're pumped and ready to go.
Yeah.
That's what she said. So,
how about you? What are you? How are you doing? Let's do that. We never do that. You always ask me, but then I never get a chance to ask you.
Well,
So how are you
polite.
doing?
Well, I'm okay actually. I've had a busy week as usual.
Nice.
No, it's not really. Well, yes, yeah, busy week. I've been in the background. I've been in the what do you call it? Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
I've been behind the scenes in the background, making some wonderful reels and TikToks off the back of some of our more interesting topics that we've covered in the last few weeks.
For real?
For real, man. For real. Yeah.
What are we talking about today, Ted?
That's how I talk.
Hey.
So, for this evening's big topic. Oh, we should have a drum roll.
I was going to say, we need a drum roll sound effect, which I haven't got ready.
Next week, get the drum roll ready.
Hang on. That's more like a crap motorcycle.
It's uncanny.
Yeah, it's a rubbish motorcycle.
Not drum roll, just your face. It's kind of a weird, uncanny valley kind of look. But yeah, no. The question for tonight is: if you could erase one invention from history, what would it be?
What would it be? That's a really good question. That's a really good question. Do you want to go first today, Ted?
I don't want to. Well, yeah, okay. Well, then let's just talk about it first of all. So, erasing an invention. So it must be something that's obviously man-made, or designed, or dreamt up. And let's assume. See, this is quite a good question. But the one thing it does make me think is, well, actually, if something wasn't invented, like say, for example, let's say we erase an invention from 1803. Or 1803, as they'd say. I find it impossible to say years for some reason. But yeah, so they invented something in 1803.
Yep.
What's to say that it wouldn't then be later on invented in 1926?
Oh, but are we not saying that if we could erase one invention from history, we're just getting rid of it completely, as in like it's never been invented, never will be invented?
Never will be invented. Because most things would be invented eventually, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I guess so.
At some point, you're going to say, "Do you know what? Actually, it'd be quite good to have some sort of waterproof ceramic squares in this bathroom," and then somebody say, "Oh, okay, we could call it a tile." I mean, that kind of conversation is going to crop up a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, eventually.
I would have thought eventually.
Yeah, someone's going to say, I need, like you say, a waterproof, nice-looking decoration that's easy to clean, easy to get rid of soap scum. Yeah, I think tiles would be invented eventually.
Yeah.
Unless someone went, no, we'll just go with wood paneling and we'll slap some varnish on it and make it waterproof that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the more basic ideas. You could go more basic and say fire. I mean, how would we manage without fire?
I mean, we never would have evolved past cavemen if we didn't.
Is that even an invention, or is that more of a discovery?
I think that's a discovery then.
That's a
good point, yeah. That's a good point. That's a discovery.
Land Rover Discovery. If that wasn't invented, I don't know.
Everyone would be driving Range Rovers instead.
Yeah, I suppose they would, yeah. Yeah.
Or the Land Rover Freelander would have done better than it did.
Yes, yeah, that's true, yeah. Or maybe that would have just been bigger, and it would have been the thing. So that then the name is the different thing rather than the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe, yes. So you say, okay, well, the thing that shouldn't have been invented was the telephone. But then, look, I've got this thing that I can talk to somebody from a long distance. It's called a spasavodoing. Or something. I was really struggling with that because I started out at the start of that word, and then I thought, oh, I can't say that, and then jiggle it around a bit.
What she said.
You know what I mean? It's got it's the same thing, but it's got a different name, and it just comes from somebody else. So instead of Alexandra, not Alexandra, who's Alexandra?
I don't know.
If you're Alexandra, get in the comments.
Get in the chat. Let's
get in the chat.
Say hi.
Alexander Graham Bell. That's the man.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't Alexandra. Don't know who she was. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. That's not relevant. Right. Okay. Forget everything I've just said. In fact, forget everything I've said since I announced what the question was.
Okay.
So the big question is, what would you uninvent if you had the option? Any historical invention, which one would you get rid of? CJ, over to you.
The first one that comes to my mind is tobacco. Get rid of tobacco. It's never invented. People don't smoke. People don't, chew tobacco. You lose cigarettes, cigars, pipes, all this stuff, and all these really big unhealthy things that.
Yeah. What about vapes?
Yeah, but again, that's it. So vape would never be invented because vapes were generally brought in as replacements for smoking, weren't they?
Yeah. So one thing leads on to another.
Yeah, one thing leads to another. I wouldn't be addicted to nicotine, so. I'm okay with that. I'm okay not being a nicotine addict.
Okay, here's the thought. I like the way you're thinking. And you know what? When I first saw this question, I thought to myself, yeah, okay, so some kind of drug. The other one, of course, could be alcohol.
Yep.
Yeah. So think of all the problems we have because of alcohol.
Yeah. I'd easily go with alcohol. Yeah, I'd easily go with alcohol, but I think a lot of that's because I don't drink a lot of alcohol. It's been 6 months since I drank anything alcoholic, and that was because I was at a work function and decided to indulge a little bit. But I don't miss it. It's not one of those. And also, it's something that always confused me when I was younger. Just starting out in my career, and everyone's like, "Oh, let's go to this Friday night. Let's go to the pub. Let's all go get smashed." It's like, why? Do you not just want to socialize, but actually then going and getting drunk? I mean, I do not like being drunk. I don't like the feeling. And I certainly don't like it the next morning. So actually, I'm good without having alcohol in the world. That would be...
Okay. Well, it wouldn't make an awful lot of difference to you then, would it?
Yeah.
So, okay, fine. But okay, so here's the question, though. When it comes to drugs, many of those are found naturally. So it brings us back to the original question: is it actually an invention, or is it a discovery? Tobacco is a plant. Tobacco is a discovery.
But tobacco products are the invention following that discovery, aren't they? So so we can keep the tobacco plant, but let's get rid of the invention of the tobacco products that come from it.
Okay. What else would you do with it?
What, the tobacco?
Well, maybe nothing. Maybe you just wouldn't harvest it.
I'll say you just leave it, or you just run over it with a lawnmower like you do your grass in the garden.
But then you do have chewing tobacco, so you could, like, is this an invention to walk into a field, right, and pick some leaves and start eating them and think it's not very tasty, but I feel like I've had a bit of a boost. I quite like that.
I'll grab a bit of a buzz. Yeah.
I'll fill my pockets with that stuff.
Yeah. Maybe
that's not an invention, is it? That's a discovery.
That is a discovery, yeah.
That's a Land Rover discovery right there. So, well, it's on the land, isn't it? And you're roving. So that is actually a Land Rover discovery. There you go. I've reinvented the name of a car. What about the wheel? Talking about, people talk about reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
What about inventing the wheel in the first place? Imagine if you didn't do that. You have cars going around on like square blocks, wouldn't they? That go, dum,
I was going to say, do you remember Carry On Cleo? When the guy's like, he invents the square wheel, and everyone's like, but surely you want it to be round, so it makes it easier to travel. And then he's like, but then the thing rolls away. So, but if you've got square wheels, it's not going to roll away, is it? And you're like, there's some logic there.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it, how coins work? Because here in the UK, certainly, we've got round coins, and then we've got coins that are a different kind of shape, and I've forgotten the name of it. Is it, how many sides is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided.
The 5-sided one is a pentagon.
Pentagon.
Yep.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the Pentagon in America, which is 5-sided shape. Then you get the 50p, which is seven sides. That's a septagon. Septagon.
Is that 7 sides?
Yeah.
Oh, I suppose it is. Is it?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Are you checking?
I'm going to check now. Let's see.
Just make sure you don't release the moths at the same time. So.
Yeah. Oh dear. Right.
Yeah, 50p, 7 sides.
Oh, I've got one of each actually.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm in the money. So 1, 2, 3. What? 1, 2, 7 sides on a 50p piece. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sides on a 20p piece.
Really? I thought 20p was 5.
No, it's 7 and 7.
Oh. You thought that was a good idea?
I don't know. Well, now I think there's a reason for that though.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the reason. The reason being for blind people. So if they're handling money, they can eat. Oh no! Wait a minute. Well, yes, no.
Yeah, because you'll get the feel of it. The size and the shape. You'll know it's a 20p.
Because obviously the size of a coin, like even if they're all round, then that's the sort of thing that sort of triggers like vending machines.
Yeah.
But if you're dealing with it in your hand, then you can tell the difference because some coins are flat on the edge, like the coppers.
Yep.
The penny and 2p piece.
Yep. And
then we've got little ridges on the 10p piece.
And the 5, yeah.
And and on the 5. And then how do we differentiate between those and the 20 and the 50? Well, easy. What we then do is we have a weird shape, and obviously one is much bigger than the other.
That's what she said.
Absolutely. And then you got the fat boy, the £1 coin.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the £2 coin, but that's significantly bigger than the £1 coin.
Yeah.
So it's quite easy to tell.
But again, on feel of it, there's a coin inside a coin on a £2 coin, so you'd easily feel the join between the two, and you'd know it's a £2 coin anyway.
Yeah.
And but again, like you say, it's much bigger than any other coin, and it's round. It's probably about the same size as a 50p, but it's just round.
Yeah.
I still don't see the point in a £2 coin.
No.
What's the
point? It's a strange denomination, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
But I suppose. I mean, how long before we have a £5 coin?
Well, they do exist, and they are legal tender. You can buy them online.
Yeah, I suppose you can. Yeah.
You buy them for £10 because they're usually limited edition or something, and you spend £10 for the privilege of buying a £5 coin that is legal tender.
I thought they were face value when they do that sort of thing.
No, I mean, yeah, the limited edition stuff. No, you generally pay like £10 for them.
Yeah.
Because
but anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about because why would we ever see the coins that we've got now? If you think about it, they're probably never going to be replaced.
No.
See, in the old days, we used to have we had loads of stuff in the old days before decimalisation. So you had the half crowns and the threepenny bits and all that sort of thing.
Half penny, penny, shilling.
Yep.
All this. I mean, it's well before my time. Yeah, decimalisation happened long before I was born.
Well, I'm post decimalisation, obviously. But we did have half pennies. We had half pennies, and then those got rid of because what's going to be half a penny these days, or those days, the 5p piece that's smaller than it was, because we had a period of time when we had a slightly bigger 5p piece, and the older ones were still called a shilling.
Ah, there you go.
So you used to have so in my living memory, I had shillings.
I was like, because you say coins don't change, and actually they have. The 5p is one example, and I remember seeing some older 5p's which were larger.
10p used to be bigger. They reduced that in size. 50p used to be bigger. They reduced that in size.
So 50p used to be fatter, and then they basically halved the depth of a 50p.
No, did they?
No,
I think they made it. I think they made it smaller as well.
Oh, maybe.
I think they did both things.
Yeah. Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
To reflect the strength of the British currency, you needed less for the same value.
Yeah, they changed the £1 coins fairly recently, so they're a funny shape now, aren't they?
Oh yeah, the pound coins. The pound coins are a new shape, but they're also like the £2 coins, where they're silver in the middle and gold on the outside.
Yeah.
Because they used to be just a straight. Well, whatever the colour was, bronze, gold, whatever it is.
Now, I remember when they came out.
Yeah.
Because that was 1981, I think. Before that, we had the pound notes.
Yeah. I mean, we should have kept those.
That's when you felt rich.
Yeah.
When you had pound notes.
Well, I was going to say, we should have kept the pound notes. I mean, like I said, I think about America, and they have the dollar bill, and it's like when someone pulls out a fat wad of cash, you think, oh my God, they're loaded. They're not. Yeah. They've literally just got $10 in their hand, and they're like that, counting. It's just singles. That's it. It's just singles. They're not rich at all. They're just singles.
It's weird how they do that, because they're probably worth about 60, 70p or something, aren't they?
Yeah, about 70p.
Yeah, it's not even a quid's worth of paper, is it?
Nope.
But
the note.
In fact, the paper's worth more than the amount it's worth. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, certainly nowadays the materials that go into making it are probably higher value than a dollar. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not paper anyway. It's like a fabric, or it's actually like a fiber thing. Manufactured.
Yeah, you can eat it. It's good for you. Bit of fiber.
Hey, I was wondering. I was like, can you? Yeah, fiber. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what you need. Well, a fiber.
That's it.
We could have. Yeah.
Fiber Fridays. That's what we should have. Everyone eat a fiver.
Coins. Let's go back to coins. Coins will not. Why are we talking about coins? That's nothing to do with it. Anyway, coins. I don't think they'll change now, because we will go from having the coins that we got now. We won't have bigger coins because we'll stop using coins. We'll stop using cash entirely.
Yep.
And then everything will be digital.
Only a matter of time before we go completely cashless in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't think anything will change. But even then, we say things won't change, but they keep releasing new. Like there was what's the latest one? A new £20 note. Or like, I think that again, we're talking a few years ago now, but still a £20 note was a brand new version of paper currency was coming out. And
well, the thing with paper currency is it doesn't last for as long. So the paper currency, is being recycled anyway.
Yeah.
So they may as well bring out a new one that's better and can't be be forged.
Yeah.
And now, of course, we'll have new notes. So when the new notes go out, the new notes have got the king on rather than the queen.
Yeah. But I remember when the £5 note was paper. Like, it was actually paper, and it was easy to rip and all that kind of stuff. And then they started rolling out the plastic nonsense that they got now. Yeah. It literally just feels like Monopoly money. I think that was a bit of a thing at the time. It was a meme at the time. Everyone's like, "Oh, look, you can just pay with Monopoly money now." Because that's what it looked like. It actually looked like Monopoly money. Just yeah, that's kind of amusing. But no, I don't think it will change anymore now. Like I say, apart from them putting the king's head on there instead of the queen's. So
that's it. It's been quite a while since we had the old king on coins, because I remember those.
Yeah.
And it was only when we changed the things like the 5 pence. So when the 5 pence changed, and then all the old shillings went out of circulation, that's the last time we saw the king's head.
Yeah, I would say most of it disappeared at decimalization because
I think and I think that was the last thing. I think it was the 10 pence piece.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Get in the comments if you know any different. But the 10 pence, which of course was called the 2 shillings, and the 5 pence, which was the 1 shilling, they were the only real hangovers from before decimalization.
Yeah.
Because all the other ones were new, 50 new pence. Yeah, because there wasn't a 10 bob coin, I don't think. If you know better, get in the comments.
I would say, who's Bob?
Yes.
My parents say that. They're like, oh, a 10 bob note or whatever. I'm like, the hell is 10 bob?
10 bob, 50 pence, because it's 10 shillings. 10 shillings is 50 pence.
Okay, so what my parents were telling me was there was a 50p note at some point.
I was playing charades, and I probably didn't judge it particularly well, considering my son is a young, like very young, small.
Okay.
And what?
I said, okay, good description.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. So, what's they now? The after the Zoomers,
alphas.
The alphas. So he's alpha gen, and even his mother is a millennial. Mm-hmm. So here I am. I'm playing charades. I'm Gen X. My way of working around how to describe a guinea pig, or it might have been Papua New Guinea. Can't remember. One of the two.
You threw coins in there, didn't you?
So of course, guinea. I thought, oh, brilliant! This one's easy. And I reached into my pocket and pulled out a £1 coin and a 5 pence piece.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them got it, to my frustration.
So
now,
old.
admittedly, it was a bit of a stretch for either of them to have any understanding of what a guinea is or was, and how a £1 and a 5 pence piece actually correspond to being 21 shillings, which is a guinea.
Guinea.
Yeah.
I never would have got that. Like I say, old currency. So you're literally talking millennial onwards. Just wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
And I've never understood it. But and I've watched like history shows or dramas and things like that, and they'll talk about pounds, shillings, pence, guineas, crowns, and all this. And it's like it means nothing to me. It literally means zero. There's no value to. You could hand me a guinea, and I'd be like, oh, thanks for the paperweight. I'd just look at it and be like, the hell is that? I don't know. I don't even know how big that. I'm doing this off camera. I'm like that's. I don't know how big a guinea is.
Certainly, coins used to be bigger.
Yeah. But actually,
we had bigger coppers as well. I'm sure the 2 pence piece was bigger, and the penny. It must have been, because the pennies now are very small, and before that we had the half pennies, which were even smaller.
Yep.
They're smaller and they were thinner. They were tiny.
Yeah.
But then I was small then, and I had smaller hands. So they, by comparison, we're going back to that perspective thing.
Yeah.
They were bigger.
You say going back to the perspective thing. This was before the show.
I realised. Yeah.
As soon as you said it, you realised.
I realised that was something recorded for another time. But no. But yes, we were talking about perspective earlier. Do you remember?
I remember.
I certainly do. And yes, a small boy with a half penny is, mind you, that you could buy something then. With a shilling or 5 pence, you could buy something then. When I was small, we had there was a baker shop, like a cake shop, baker shop.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
A baker.
It's not stretch the imagination, is it? Have you ever heard of such a thing? So anyway, there's a shop that sold cakes. And what they would do is, for like the kids, what they'd take all the buns and the cakes and things from the previous day, and they put them into like little paper bags, put them to one side, and then the kids could go in the next day and ask for a bag of buns for 5 pence.
Yeah.
So you hand over 5 pence, you get a bag of buns. You can't get anything for 5 pence these days.
Dude, you can't get anything for less than 50p these days. It's like pennies and 20p's, 2p. There's no point to their existence anymore.
No. Penny sweets.
Yeah.
Used to get penny sweets.
I remember being able to go into the shop with 10p and actually, but similar to the whole bun thing, my local shop when I was growing up, they do the same with penny sweets. They literally just put 10 random, just a scoop of mixed sweets into a bag and call it a 10 pence bag of sweets, and that's what you could buy. It was great. I mean, I regret it now. I'm fat and diabetic. But at the time, it was awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. So going back to the whole question of if there was an invention to get rid of.
Oh yes, what was
from
that
history?
Question?
I actually would put. I'd also like to throw coins into that mix as well. Let's get rid of coins. Yeah, get rid of coins. The amount of times, again, growing up and when cash was more of a thing anyway, and it's just that whole. You end up just with pockets full of change, and you're walking around and it's weighing you down and jiggling or making noise as you're walking, and it's like what a way to advertise for someone to come and rob me than a pocket full of change that's making noise as I'm walking. Just get rid of coins completely. Let's. I feel like we should have gone digital from the Roman times. They should have immediately been digital.
We should have Roman times, crypto, nothing in between.
Precisely. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Romans should have invented crypto. That's what it should have been.
Yeah. Do you know what? I feel like they would have done if only they'd had the technology. I feel like the Romans would have been the ones to have kicked off Bitcoin had they had the electricity.
Yeah.
I think give Romans electricity. Do you know what would be really fun is to go back in time and just give the Romans a few extra bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give them some a crate of AK-47s.
Jeez.
and some battery packs and just see what they fucking do then.
They'd actually take over the world.
They would.
They would 100% take over the world.
Yeah.
There's I don't even think.
Would we still have a Roman Empire if we did that? If we gerrymandered with the empires, if we did that, I think they might still be in power.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be called the Roman Empire. It would just be the world. The world is Rome. The planet wouldn't be called Earth. It would be called Rome. Planet Rome.
Spaghetti in every town.
Oh yeah. Right, let's do it. Someone invent a time machine, please.
Worldwide pizza party. Yeah.
Yeah, someone invent a time machine. We're off to give Romans a NVIDIA GTX 4090 and let them start mining Bitcoin.
Have you ever been to Rome?
I've never been to Rome, no.
No, there ends that conversation.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'll tell you what, let's do what my stepdad used to say all the time when we'd say we're going on holiday. Like, oh, where are we going? He'd be like, we're going to Rome. Oh, really? Yeah, we're going to roam around town and roam around this place. You dick. The irony is his name is actually Dick.
Yeah.
So we'd say, like, you Dick, and he'd be like, yeah, yes, I am.
I appreciate that. I do like a good dad joke.
I love dad jokes. Dad jokes are amazing.
Yeah, I tell you what, actually, I mean, it all fits rather well. But for Father's Day, I was given a book of dad jokes.
Yeah.
So I'm at the ready.
You're prepped.
Should we need? Unfortunately, I don't have an index, so I can't quickly go. Oh, what subject? Oh, CJ is talking about such and such. Oh, here we go. I mean, in relation to the world, here we go. So recently, I bumped into the guy who sold me my antique globe. It's a small world.
I went out on a date with a lady who worked at the zoo. Yeah, she's a keeper.
I mean, that's just funnier than it should be.
I'll say, just in case the other half's watching, I didn't. No, it was just a dad joke. I promise. Please don't hate me. Yeah, I love a good dad joke. It's one of them. Yeah. So we've got some people going in the chat just reacting to our dad jokes right now, which is great. And we've got David coming in with some laughing faces. I think that was earlier though. Ruby's been in. OMG. Mama Steinhoff, welcome Steinhoff. Says dot. Yeah.
Dot. Excellent. Mamma mia. So
here I go again.
Here I go again. Anyway, coins.
Yeah.
That's not even the subject. What am I talking about? No, coins. So so we won't need coins in the future, I don't think.
No, definitely not.
No.
It's all electronic. And eventually I think even things like your debit card will disappear. It's all I pay for everything on my phone. I don't carry cards anymore. I use Apple Pay. Good old Apple Pay. Okay.
So anyway, we're talking now about even more new inventions. Here's a thought. Again, when I first saw the question, what inventions would you get rid of? Wipe out? I did think smartphones for a moment. Because I think a lot of people spend too much time, myself included, looking at a smartphone, messing with a smartphone. I mean, not phoning anyone.
No,
just everything else on a smartphone, and not actually being present in the moment.
Isn't it weird how smartphones have changed our lives? But it's like, so when mobile phones were invented, or cell phones, if you're in America, when they kind of came in, landlines started to fall away a little bit, and the dynamic of the landline changed. From somebody would call the landline and he'd end up, like in my house, we were climbing over each other to be the first one to answer the phone, because it was exciting. Someone's calling the house. It's amazing. I want to talk to this strange person on the end that could be anybody, but I really want to do that. And then mobile phones came out and the whole thing changed to, from climbing to, why is someone calling the landline?
Yeah.
That can't be good news. Because if it was somebody I knew, they'd call my mobile.
Yeah.
And now it's gone even further. Zoomers and beyond are like, why is someone even calling my mobile? Why aren't they just Snapchatting me?
Yeah.
It's almost like the communication nowadays has to be with visuals as well. I mean, well, look at us. We're communicating visually and communicating with the world visually at the same time.
Yeah. Hello, world.
So, hello, world.
Hello, world.
All 7 of you.
Don't worry, we'll come to why on earth CJ is using Snapchat, because he's not 12.
I don't use Snapchat.
Oh, that was just an example.
It was an example, yeah. Okay, this is what I understand is people use Snapchat quite a lot. But it's that whole thing of you have to communicate with visuals. TikTok, Instagram, everything has to have visual context to it. There's no, but if someone then rings your mobile, but I've caught myself doing it. Mainly because I know if someone's calling me in the middle of the day from a number that I don't recognise, they're probably trying to sell me something. Because it's for work, for my job. They somehow get my mobile number, probably from the reception desk at the main office, and I've told them not to do that, but whatever. So I don't get anxiety over it, but I'm like, who's calling me? What do they want?
Yeah.
I had to call.
I'm the same. I look at my phone if it's ringing. Actually, I don't know it's ringing most of the time. So my personal phone, because a personal phone and work phone's always on silent unless someone calls something. My personal phone is always on silent. So if somebody rings me, only if I've got it in my hand will they will I look at it whilst it's ringing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's most likely what I'm going to do. Look at it whilst it's ringing and go, oh, I might ring that person back.
Yeah.
Or if I don't recognize the number, certainly I'm not answering it.
Yeah.
Right? I wonder who that is. I instead of answering the phone and saying who is it, I'm going to wait until they've finished ringing. Then I'm going to Google the number.
Yep, I do that.
Yeah, I'm going to do my research before anybody gets to talk to me.
But I also do the thing of, I mean, 'cause people tend to ring me. I'm in a meeting and they'll ring my mobile. So, and you know, the latest version of iOS, and that you can just press the button to send them straight to voicemail. And I basically have a rule: if they don't leave a voicemail, I'm not calling them back, because it's clearly not that important. If it was that important, you'd leave me a voicemail.
Yeah.
And I would listen to it, or in the case of mine, I get text voicemail, so it transcribes the voicemail, and I'll read it. I'll read the voicemail before I've even spoken to them. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like,
now, if it's important, they'll ring more than once or leave a message.
that's it. They'll call me back. The other bit that's weird to me now as well is, so again, at work, I sit in meetings on various video conferencing softwares. And I find it very strange when someone doesn't put their camera on. It's like the reality is, certainly for my company at least, the whole thing has changed where it's almost considered impolite if you don't put your camera on and people can't see you, which is really interesting when I'm sat on the couch, relaxing on a Friday afternoon with YouTube on in the background while I'm just checking emails, and someone calls me on Teams. I'm like, do I want to talk to this person right now or not? And I might adjust my position slightly so they can't see the laundry hanging up behind me, on the door frame. Yeah. And then I'll talk to them. They'll be like, "Are you on the couch?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's Friday afternoon. Do something. I don't care." So
increasingly I will switch my camera off, because what's the point? What's the point of being able to? I mean, it's a weird setup. I mean, we're in a similar setup at the moment, I have to say. I mean, we're voluntarily, we're currently talking to each other remotely. We're looking at a picture of each other. But where was I going? Oh yeah. So basically, it's weird, especially if you've got a Teams call and there's 5 or more, 4 or 5 people. What are we doing? We're just sat on a screen looking directly at everybody else's face. What a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
Why is there any need to do that? It doesn't help the conversation at all.
See, I like it because I feel it does.
I don't get it. Like, conference calls used to work. They were fine. You could get on a conference call. Okay, we'll go around the room virtually, kind of. Everybody says, "Oh yeah, there's blogs from purchasing or blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
And then you have the call. You can tell from people's voices or whatever that who's who. But now you've just got to stare at people, and also whilst you're staring at people, you kind of actually. I spend most of the time looking at myself, making sure that I don't look like a dick. Or make sure that a blurred background isn't displaying something that I don't want to display in the back, behind me, whatever it may be, Ted James Media.
Yeah, it's weird. Like you say, I do the same. I'm sat in Teams calls and I'll just start looking at I'm looking at myself right now, and I'll start messing with my hair. I'll be like, like right now, there's a bit of hair sticking up. I need to fix that while I'm talking to someone, and they're probably looking at me going, "What are you doing? What the actual shit are you doing?"
Yeah.
But
do you ever turn your camera off?
In some cases, so if I join a meeting,
whenever I turn my camera off, I do it. I don't know why I do it like this, but I pretend I'm not doing it. So I as if it's complete shock. Well, not a shock, but I'll just be, and then I'll suddenly go. I won't go, and then do it. I'll be taking an interest and then just suddenly go,
just
and
gone.
then suddenly reappear, as if for some reason my laptop has decided that I didn't have enough bandwidth or something for the camera, so it's done that. It did that. I didn't, and then I can sit back in my chair. I'm already on mute. I can check my phone and vape. I can have a drink. I can walk off. I can walk back again. It's all good.
In my last house, when I did vape indoors regular, I mean, so this is the only room that I vape in this house, and it's just because I feel more relaxed when I'm doing it. But yeah, I used to vape all the time when I was working. And yes, I'd be doing exactly the same. I'd be in a meeting and not saying anything or doing anything. I'd be muted. Everyone else is talking. I'd be like, well, I don't really need to pay attention. Camera goes off, vape comes out. And, which is interesting when someone then decides to talk to you and the room around me is filled with, vapor. And that was always an interesting one. But I do this. And sometimes if I've got an early morning meeting and I haven't quite rolled out of bed on time, to shower and do my hair and all that stuff, I'll just be like, oh yeah, sorry, I can't put my camera on. I've got a nosebleed situation on the go, and and they'd be like, oh, okay, fair enough. And, absolutely lying through my teeth at that point, but it's because I haven't done my hair. It's literally all over the place, and I'm like, there's no way I can't even brush this out. I need to shower.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing it because I'm in a lay-by because I've not got to where I'm supposed to be going.
Yeah.
I've not got into the office or I've not got to somewhere else. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's happening. Yeah, my thing's not working. This isn't working. I'm having some IT issues today,
Yeah.
As ever. Hey, listen, the chat has
been popping off.
Yeah. David says the Roman Empire dissolved into the Catholic Church.
Like salt in water.
Yes, I suppose so.
I don't know. I mean, sure, probably.
Yeah, it's you could say so.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's all a bit Roman, isn't it?
All Greek to me.
Roman Catholics,
Yeah.
So, Mama Steinhoff. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, Mama Steinhoff.
That's how I say it anyway.
Yeah.
Mama Steinhoff says, do you find that age plays a role in that? Someone older, like myself, prefers face-to-face communication, whereas the youngsters seem to prefer less face-to-face.
I guess youngsters, are still just like they want to text. They're just
I think it depends what you call a youngster, though. Where does youngster begin? And
Zoomers.
Okay. I mean, certainly Zoomers are probably quite afraid of picking up the phone and talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you're right there, Mama Steinhoff. It's like I say, I like the face-to-face interaction, and what I was going to say earlier, Ted, was I think cameras are a good thing when you're in a Teams call, and because I feel like you can draw out so much more context from facial expressions, like. I exactly the faces you're pulling there is like I could say something, you can pull that face, and I'll be like, all right, clearly what I'm saying isn't landing. Yeah, you turn your camera off for that one, by the way. But yes, you get to kind of judge how well the message you're trying to put across. It's certainly in a business setting, you see how it's landing, and you can kind of adjust on the fly and think. Whereas when it was all just kind of audio conferencing, you end up in these awkward situations of people will just go very quiet because they don't quite understand what you're talking about. Or even, like I say, the flip of it is I can be talking to you, you get a better feel for what I'm saying and how I'm trying to say it, also based on what you can see. It's it's allowing those senses to all come together to provide that context. And it's definitely a thing post-COVID as well, when the whole, there's been a massive video conferencing revolution because of COVID, when people suddenly couldn't go into the office and didn't get the face-to-face time that they would normally get. Suddenly the only way to get that is through a camera on your computer.
Well, I suppose, I think maybe my hesitation when it comes to the whole Teams call thing is the fact that, yes, conference calls did work, so what was wrong with that? But also, it's the one-to-one calls that I find irritating.
Yeah.
Like, okay, when there's a meeting, and it's like, okay, 3:00, everybody's going to be there. Okay, make sure the background or whatever, and switch my camera, and I'm all ready for it. All right. But when somebody does a video call in the middle of the day just randomly, and you get a video call from a colleague. Like, I'm not prepared for that.
I hate those.
What's that happen? Just pick up the phone.
Well, that's it.
I'm more than happy to pick up the phone instead of send an email or what do you call it? Teams chat and all this sort of business. Picking up the phone is usually the most direct and easiest way of doing things. If you want to get something done, if you want to avoid something, send an email or send a chat message, because then you can okay, I've got something I need to do. Right. Okay. All I'll do, I'll just respond with a question. Okay. What flavor or what color does it need to be? Which platform are you talking about? Whatever it may be, and send it back. And they're like, right, that's not my problem again now until they've read that and bothered to answer. And then I've still got a little bit of time. So it's a good way of putting off stuff. But if you really actually want to get stuff done, pick up the phone. But don't video call me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a you preference. But like I say, I can only really give you the culture of the company that I work for, and that is generally teams first. Everyone goes teams first, and it's only if someone's off. But again, someone goes offline on Teams, you can see their status. If you can see they're offline or out of the office, you're probably not going to pick up the phone to call them, because you're like, well, they might be on holiday, or they might be traveling, they might be driving. A lot of companies now are doing a whole blanket no communications while driving. Kind of stance. My company's one of them. They're like, absolutely no phone calls, Teams meetings, or anything while you're driving. Which I'm not going to say is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. But anyway, it's we go Teams first, and generally cameras are on. It's quite a rare occurrence to speak to somebody where I am and not have your camera on. Again, I like it though, because you get a better read on people, and just looking at the chat, it looks like Ruby is on kind of the same wavelength there as well. So get a better read on people, seeing facial expressions. Otherwise, you've got no, Ruby said tends to overanalyze, but you can end up overanalyzing, or you just got no context. You just get a better read just from that.
Better feel for it.
Yeah, a better feel for the person and what they're trying to say to you and things like that. Like, there's a guy I talk to at work. He never puts his camera on. But this person would be quite challenging to communicate with anyway. There's I don't want to say there's not a language barrier, but it's quite clear that this person's first language is not English. So sometimes for them to get across what they're trying to say is difficult, and then for me to understand what they're trying to communicate is difficult. Well, actually, I think if they put the camera on, it would be a lot easier, because I could see what it's just adding that extra sensory input to piece it together. That's just me. That is just me.
Yeah. Fair enough. Although sometimes, it's better if the face-to-face is actually face-to-face in the same office.
So I also prefer that over all of it, but
yeah. Beck says it was great to have cameras, etc., during lockdown, although when we couldn't see people face-to-face. Well, yeah, I mean, I think, but this was the thing, though. It was as though when we went into lockdown, everybody was on Teams calls for work, and then they were on Zoom in the evenings.
Yeah.
And there were quite a few sort of Zoom chats and things that I never joined. No,
my family
I've done that for work. I've spent half my time on Teams calls. The last thing I want to do is go on a Zoom, and do a quiz or something.
So my family and I, we get on well, but we all tend to just leave each other alone. Everyone's got their own lives and just do their own thing and all that kind of stuff, which is not a bad thing. We still communicate every so often. But as soon as kind of lockdown came, we suddenly found ourselves in a weekly Skype call, and we were using Skype at that point as well. It wasn't even Teams or Zoom or whatever other platforms were available. We were old school. We went to Skype.
Yeah, retro stuff, that is.
Yeah, but suddenly we are communicating more. I mean, I think in that first year of lockdown, I communicated more with my family than I think I did in the entire time since I left home. It blew my mind. But then, of course, as soon as we went out to go out and see everyone again, we did that. We went out and we saw people, and we went out for dinner and all that. And we're just back to where we were before. and we have a group chat on Messenger, and we talk to each other occasionally. I do try to check in with people every week. We'll check in with the family every week. Just be like, how's it going? Any news? People are doing stuff. Nice to kind of connect and see what's going on. But we don't do the video calls anymore, which it's not. It's fine. We got our lives. But yeah, it was bizarre to me. Suddenly, everyone had to be on Zoom, and everyone had to be doing quizzes, and oh, we can't go to the pub anymore, so let's do a pub quiz ourselves. No.
Yeah.
I want to watch Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, because then somebody's got to devise the quiz.
Yep.
It's just a lot of work, isn't it?
Oh,
I think it where that really helped people was when if they were furloughed. So if they had nothing else to do, they couldn't wait to busybody around various groups of friends and relatives.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the people that were still working, and working hard, like heroes, in the public sector, the last thing they want to do is then start getting into more work-like calls in the evening.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that
absolutely.
You? Was that you?
Yeah.
Were you the hero that didn't want to talk to anyone in the evening?
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to public service though, and when we're talking about teams, one thing to be careful about is if you're in a public setting or public services, if you're using Teams or even possibly recorded Teams calls, subject to freedom of information. So you got to be careful what you put on there.
Was that in GDPR rules and all that kind of stuff?
Got to be careful what you write.
Mm-hmm.
So your freedom of information, your subject, what am I talking about? Subject. I know what I'm talking about. How?
Subject access requests.
Subject. Yeah, something like that.
Well, we get them at work. We get subject access requests, and it's basically where it could be a lever has gone, but then their name is still on the internet somewhere, and then they're a bit disgruntled, and they go, "I want my name taken off of everything," and blah 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 blah. Or there's a disciplinary, or someone's been sacked for something, and now they're taking them to court, and they go, "I need all this information." It has to go through a full subject access request. GDPR committee has to approve it, and all sorts of stuff. It's quite a lengthy process.
And that is why sometimes it's better to pick up the phone.
Yep.
Because there's no record of that.
True.
When you say, "Oh, I've just been speaking to such and such," they are a twat, aren't they?
Absolutely.
What are we going to do about that? Yeah. Anyway, so back to inventions. Inventions we would go back and get rid of.
Coins.
Coins. I think coins had their time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We can argue that the Romans should have invented crypto, but they just didn't have the technology.
Yeah.
So we can't blame them for that. They did give us other things.
Aqueducts.
Roads.
Apart from education, the aqueducts and the roads, what have the Romans ever done for us?
Sanitation.
Yeah, sanitation. Yeah. Shut up. Anyone gets that reference? Stick it in the comments, please. Tell us what we're talking about.
No. Okay. So smartphones, I think we probably should keep then.
What else am I going to do when I'm sat on the toilet?
Well, absolutely.
There's
also another invention we're definitely going to keep.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
There's only so many times I can read a shampoo bottle while I'm taking a dump. I'm not going to lie. Having my phone there is great. It means I can play solitaire. I can, check social media if I ever have the inclination to do that.
Yeah.
I really don't these days.
Yeah. You used to have to take a paper.
Yeah, but again, I never did that. And okay, sorry that we're talking about it, but it's my stepdad regularly would just do the whole newspaper under the arm. He'd pick up his cigarettes and take them with him as well, and he'd sit there having a smoke while reading the paper. It's like, I just can't picture anybody doing that anymore.
Okay, listen. You live alone.
I do.
Okay. Now, if you didn't live alone, and if you had like family around you, and various things, and just things going on all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Requirements on you for whatever it may be. You would pick up your newspaper and your vape, bring it into the 21st century.
Couldn't. No.
Okay. All right. You say. And you would disappear to the loo for at least half an hour at a time.
Yeah.
Because that is the sanctuary. That's the one place. That's the one place you can lock yourself in.
Yeah.
And nobody can really argue with the fact that it's a bodily function after all.
Yeah, everyone does it.
You get some peace and quiet.
It also applies to the workplace. If you're just like having a day and people just won't leave you alone, you just go, you know what? I'm just going to go take a dump.
Yeah.
And I'll be back in 20 minutes.
Yeah. The best thing I ever found was working in a large organization where you can find a loo that's like miles away from the office, but doesn't get used an awful lot. And if you're lucky, you find a nice quiet spot. There's always one that's just like really tucked away. I just go there, and I just sit there.
Yeah,
that's my little recuperation chamber.
Yeah. Stall.
Water chamber.
Cubicle.
Yeah. But I think we need that every now and again. A little bit of sanctuary, but a little bit of time. Even if it's when you arrive somewhere and you're sat in the car, it's like that 5 minutes.
Yeah. Just give me a minute to get in.
Just staring at nothing. That's all we need.
Yeah. I feel like when you live with people, there's definitely like you say, a sanctuary element to that. I imagine especially if you've got kids as well. If you and your partner and you've got the kids there, you're just like, I just need 10 minutes away from the kids, so I'm going to go drop the kids off at the pool. That's literally your sanctuary. Or I imagine it's similar to like when you're going somewhere and you throw the kids in the car and kick the door closed, and then you take the slowest walk from where you've just put them in round to the driver's seat, just because that's your few seconds of sanctuary whilst they're in the car and you're not.
Absolutely.
Oh, what do we got? Mama Steinoff says you could read a book. Dave says, I know where you're going with this, Ted. Yep. X 30 minutes. C told you so. Told you Ted takes ages in the loo. Okay. David also does this at work. Yep. Nothing better than being paid for a poo. Exactly. You're paying me to not use my own toilet paper. Yeah. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
Very happy about that. I'd rather not do it at home. I'd rather do it at work.
Yeah.
Ruby says it doesn't work when you have kids. They always find you. Yeah, but if you lock the door, surely that's still your sanctuary. You can just put your fingers in your ears, or if it was me and I was in that scenario, I'd literally just be like, and the AirPods go in. I'm listening to music. All I can hear is, I don't know, Rick Astley in my ears. Doesn't matter if the kids know who I am. The door's locked. They ain't getting
in. Beck says not for women anyway. Well, you see, this is the thing. Women have a different experience in that they tend not to get nagged. Just saying.
Okay.
But no, also there's a mention of taking ages in the loo. Now that's a reference to to a couple of weeks ago, I think. As a reference to a couple of weeks ago when we took a break.
Yep. Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We were gone for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, wasn't that? Yeah, that wasn't even that long.
We were gone for 10 minutes, and the question was I sorting my hair out, or was Ted going for a poo?
Yeah, that's it.
Which one was true?
Yeah. Anyway, on the subject of having a break, I'm going to say it's probably about time to go and have a quick break. But whilst we're gone, what I'd like people to do is get their thinking caps on about which inventions from history they would uninvent.
So what
is that a word? Is that even a word? No, that can't be a word.
It is now.
Makes sense. It is a word now.
Yep, it is now.
What invention from history would you uninvent? Let's go for a break.
And we're back.
We're back.
We're back. I didn't need a poo.
Zone.
I just need to say I didn't need to go for a poo. So.
No. We are back indeed.
Yeah.
So,
David has come back in with a good idea for an invention to get rid of the plastic bags.
Plastic? Any kind of plastic bag, or just the plastic bag?
I'm assuming he means like the old supermarket carrier bags that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. What would you replace it with, though?
Well, it used to be paper, though, didn't it? It was always paper bags. And then then somebody invented the plastic bags, so I assume it was cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And now that they're everywhere. They've taken over the world. They're bad for the environment. They don't degrade. You can't recycle them. They're actually generally quite terrible inventions. So you know what? I'm on board with that one, David. Absolutely on board with that.
Could you go further than that and say plastic?
You could go further than that and say plastic. Well, again, we've discussed it before. Plastic bottles.
Yeah.
You know, your milk used to get delivered in glass bottles. You'd buy Coca-Cola in glass bottles. Beer still comes in glass bottles. And, absolutely. Yeah, let's get rid of plastic. Make everything metal.
Okay.
Now,
here's a slightly contentious one. I just thought of this. Now this is only contentious because whether you consider it to be an invention or something that is created in a divine way, and that's religion. Do you see where I'm going with that?
I'm not 100% sure where you're going with it. I feel we're on dangerous ground.
Well, only because if I say, well, I'd tell you what, one invention that perhaps we could get rid of, and that might make a difference to the world, is religion.
I can see it.
Actually, technically, if you were particularly religious, the counter argument to that would be, well, you can't do that because it's not an invention. It is based on a thing. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean, you take religion out of the world, most wars disappear.
Or do they?
I mean, there'll still be wars. People fight over more than just religion.
You
know, it's usually land, or well, nowadays it's oil. So war will still exist, but a lot of them probably wouldn't. You know, I mean, let's go back through history.
Well, all of it? We got time?
Well, no.
No,
well,
okay.
I don't know. We're live. We can go as long as we want.
Well, I suppose we can, yeah.
There is no set limit to how long we're online for.
So there's dinosaurs and they're religious.
I'm just picturing like a brontosaurus with the old religious neck scarf thing on.
Yeah.
God be with you. So it's probably more like
T-Rex with the tiny hands. Oh, can't.
Can't make a bed either. T-Rex or bugger. Can't even scratch his chin. He's like that. Oh my god.
What do you reckon?
Religion.
Dinosaurs, are they real?
Yeah, no, I believe dinosaurs are real.
Yeah, but not the way we imagine them.
No, I think there's a bit of
certainly when we were at school, they were all they were definitely fleshy, weren't they?
They were all green.
Increasingly now, apparently they're feathery.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's. I mean, I think that there probably was an element of they were very, like you say, reptilian-like.
What I want to know is what they taste like. I wonder what.
Chicken. Everything tastes like chicken.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Beef doesn't.
But do you wonder if that was, and I realise I'm probably stealing this from Eddie Izzard or something, but do you reckon, like, if there is a god, or, you know, when he's inventing animals, just like, right, beef can taste like this, and lamb can taste like that, and chicken can taste like this, and then he'd come to another and be like, that can also just taste like chicken. Just make everything taste like chicken. It's like I'm done. I'm bored now. Can we move on? Just make everything else taste like chicken. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we'll never know what a dinosaur. Well, I suppose if they claim one, if they did manage to clone a dinosaur, then maybe one day we'll have a dinosaur steak.
Maybe one day we will.
Or maybe one day a cloned dinosaur will then clone its own kind and take over the world, and then clone one of us to see what we tasted like.
There's a terrifying thought.
It is.
But again, I think one of the fundamental things of invention is we as humans have the ability to kind of scratch our chin and think about stuff. A T-Rex can't do that.
That's very true.
So a T-Rex will never invent anything.
Never. So, yeah, anyway, so religion, I think, could be considered to be an invention, potentially, certainly by the non-religious. But even if we say that is an invention, would it take away wars? You say not all wars.
Not entirely, no.
But even the wars that are involved, are they actually wars about religion? Or are they wars about culture? Are they wars about territory and the kind of religion being used as the excuse? Because generally speaking, people in warring nations might be of a different religion. Otherwise, they'd probably be friends.
Maybe. I'm definitely not a religious scholar. And like you say, you go back thousands of years, sure, wars were probably fought over territory. Think about oldie England, when we were divided into many different kingdoms. Wars were happening all the time. War of the Roses was about territory. It wasn't a religious war. It was a territorial
wasn't even
war.
About roses.
It was definitely not even about roses either. No. I mean, I would happily fight someone over some Cadbury roses because they're mine. Anyway, joke didn't land quite as well as I wanted to, but never mind. But yes, absolutely territory related and all that. But then you start thinking about like the Crusades, religion. Religion-based wars. Think about the Second World War, a religion-based war. Because Adolf Hitler was a dick and wanted to get rid of all the Jews.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a religious war, though.
No, I mean, it wasn't a war between two religions. It was, one dickhead doing his thing and the rest of the world going, yeah, no, you're a dick.
Yeah. I think there's probably more to it than that, really. I think there's,
I've definitely generalized there.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I don't know. Very simplified.
Yeah, lots of factors, but then again, I think that was a culture thing, and it was a politics thing. That was probably more of a political war. So we've got a different way of going about things in terms of our politics.
Yeah.
More of a socialist type. That's what we shouldn't have invented. Socialism. And if we hadn't invented socialism, I say we. I wasn't involved. It wasn't my fault.
Is it your fault, Ed?
No, it was not me. If there wasn't any socialism, then it wouldn't be the gateway drug to communism. So you wouldn't have that problem as well. So
then what are we?
Be just normal people.
No, we're not socialist or communist. What are we?
Capitalists.
Like capitalists, I guess.
Free marketeers.
Okay.
Oh.
All for one for all, the free marketeers.
Yeah.
Old Dogtanian and remember that TV show Dogtanian? That was a great show. I love that show.
Yeah. Based on, of course, the original, which is D'Artagnan.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dogtanian is the first one that comes to mind. It's like Scrooge. When you think of Scrooge, the first thing you think of is Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah. I was thinking, I think of Michael Caine every time from the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, yeah.
My name is Michael Caine.
My name is Maurice Micklewhite. That's his real name.
Really?
Yeah.
Shut up.
No, Michael Caine's real name is Maurice Micklewhite.
Shut the front door.
No, absolutely. You keep that front door wide open. That's what she said.
Yeah.
No, that's his name. So his stage name is Michael Caine.
Morris Joseph. I was going to go American and say Maurice Joseph Micklewhite. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Google.
Some people call him the Space Cowboy. Some people call him Maurice. Yeah. So yes, religion. Well, let's keep religion, because I'm not convinced that that's caused all the wars in the world. David's come into the chat and said that most of the history of wars is because of people and their differences in beliefs. Well, yes, beliefs maybe, because as I say, it could be a political belief, or it might be a belief that oil belongs to us.
Yeah.
Or I believe you're a dick, so I'm going to invade your country.
Yeah. I believe that I should have more money than you, therefore I'm going to come in and take all your oil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what it is.
Capitalism at its best. Yeah.
Capitalism at its best. No, I think belief is actually a better word for that. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's religion's quite a very specific reason for as a point of blame for war, whereas belief is a much more broad term and covers much more of it. Like say, I believe I should own this territory. I believe I should own this, or have control over this land or oil or resource, whatever that is. I believe my religion is better than yours. I see the benefits of religion. From a what's the kind of word I'm looking? Not control, but from a system of guidance. It's like a guidance system for people. People kind of go, well, what is the point in life? Why am I here? What am I doing with it? And so, and then somebody with a nice purple scarf on says, well, this mystical thing up in the sky that you're never going to see, says that actually we're here to, love each other and produce kids and,
Well, actually, yeah. So
whatever the message is these days.
Yeah, there was a thing, and I'll try and see if I can find it. I don't know what it was, but I tweeted off the back of it, and I have to see if I can find it. I don't know how it works. Oh me, there we go. Yeah. So anyway, here we go. Somebody posted on Twitter and said, name something once popular in the UK that needs to make a comeback. And I did more than one.
Yeah. Completely not disregarding the rules of the question.
Disregard. Yes.
Name
absolutely.
one thing, Ted. One.
Screw your rules. But the thing was, I came with one. And then I thought of another, and I thought, well, actually, but a lot of them are quite easy, quite connected. So a reminder of the question. The question was, name something once popular in the UK that needs to make a comeback. And I said, propriety.
Okay.
Because people do what the fuck they want these days.
True.
Propriety, Christianity, competence, fathers, and loose tea.
I mean, that's a very specific list.
Oh yeah,
that's quite a okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have just gone with status quo.
The status quo isn't half of those bloody things, including loose tea.
The band status quo.
Oh, I see. Right, okay.
Not the status quo, just status quo.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't bring it back, would you? If we were talking about status quo as a concept. Then if we were bringing it back, we wouldn't be bringing it back because it wouldn't have gone because it's the status quo.
Exactly.
Yeah, that got confusing.
Yeah, that's why I specified that as the band status quo. Yeah. That's the first thing that came to my head. I don't know. Are they still around? I know Rick Parfitt passed away a couple of years ago. I'm pretty sure status quo as a concept is still around. The band concept is still around.
Yeah.
I don't know, but one thing, Ted, that you could bring back that should come back that doesn't exist in the UK anymore.
Shame.
It is a shame, But what is one thing that
shame? People have no shame.
People really do have no shame.
Yeah, but I tell you what, that's not an. Well, maybe it is an invention, because maybe that's one of the things that religion had in its toolbox of keeping people, keeping people in line. Yes, but anyway, we're not talking about religion. We're talking about inventions.
Corporal punishment.
Corporal punishment.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
But then again, actually, no. Let's not bring that back, because that goes along the same lines as the whole national service question. And yeah, it's too late. We're too far gone.
Too far gone for corporal punishment. Yeah, I don't think people would. So corporal punishment. Well, it wasn't that long ago that we had corporal punishment in terms of the birch. Where was it? We still had the birch. Was it somewhere obscure like the Isle of Wight or something, where
Possibly.
they still had the birch until 1990 something?
Explain to the audience what the birch is.
That's just where you get hit by some twigs.
Okay.
For being a twat.
From a birch tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So that was the thing. Capital punishment. That's it's quite popular. Quite people want to, see that one come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Probably not the world's best invention.
No, I mean capital punishment. I don't know. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it almost takes that religious stance of an eye for an eye.
Yes, very true. Yeah.
You're a murderer, so we're going to kill you as well. But
yeah,
I think nowadays, well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is actually easy nowadays with all the technology, surveillance, all this kind of stuff that goes on. If someone is a murderer, generally, if you find them and it's easier to prove that they are. Whereas maybe 10, 20 years ago, it was a bit more difficult. But that's also why people sit on death row in America for 30 years.
Oh, that's because the system's ridiculous.
Well,
because their system seems to be like a constant. They join death row for like 10 years or something stupid, and there's various rounds of appeals and stuff like that. I don't know what they're playing at. I mean, it's just prolonging the whole thing, really.
Yeah.
I think that's large. I think this again. I think that's kind of creating delays in the hope that that particular state will stop doing capital punishment by the time it gets around to them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the hope. I don't know.
Maybe it is. Who knows?
Yeah. No, an eye for an eye kind of makes sense, but
yeah. I think that was potentially the original concept was, an eye for an eye sort of thing.
Well, it sort of makes sense, I suppose.
You commit such a heinous crime that, you get hanged, drawn, and quartered.
But interesting what you said there, though. You said, well, these days you've got the technology to know whether somebody's done it or not. The thing is, we've always made a decision whether somebody's done something or not. They're either found guilty or they're not.
Mm-hmm.
The argument is always, well, what if somebody's innocent? Well, guess what? What if somebody's innocent and they're sent to prison for the rest of their life? I mean, that's no good. That's as good as execution in many cases. I mean, that's your life over, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're innocent and you've been found guilty of murder, and why should it only be murder? Surely we have other crimes that are pretty disgusting.
Oh yeah, I mean that was just the one example that I gave. There are many others that that deserve severe. Put it in simple terms. There are many crimes, actions people can take which basically warrants them, not to be worth being alive. We should not be wasting oxygen on these people. There are many crimes like that.
Yeah,
but murder being one of them. I don't think we need to talk about the others.
No, but what you're talking about there is like the sort of burden on the state to find the person guilty. Mm-hmm. So we've got to make sure that they're definitely guilty before they're executed. Well, we should be making sure that they're definitely guilty before they're sent to jail for life.
Well, yeah, there is that part. But that's
and the danger because I've thought about this a number of times, and I'm sort of very much on the fence. But you think about it, if you've got somebody who's let's say you say, well, if you know for absolute sure that somebody's done something, then we can execute them. And if there's any kind of doubt, then we let them go. Well, actually, having any kind of doubt is the point at which you let them go free anyway.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be a distinction between the two. The other thing is, if you've got somebody and you say, well, actually, they've admitted it, so we know that they've definitely did it. Some people admit things on other people's behalf because they're protecting others. Mm-hmm. So that's not necessarily the finest judge of things. But also, if somebody admits it and is executed, and if somebody's got all the evidence against them but doesn't admit it and therefore goes to jail for life, then what are people going to do when it comes to whether or not they admit a crime? There's going to be people saying they didn't do it, even though all the evidence is stacked against them, just simply to save their skins and have life in prison rather than being executed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So the chat's been popping off again.
Oh yeah.
So Bex came in with definitely get rid of paper straws and cutlery. Absolutely
for goodness
useless.
sake. We're talking about high level topics.
I know, right?
Like the death penalty. And Bex comes in with her paper straws. I mean, goodness me.
Whoever invented the paper straw should just die.
I mean, it's pointless, isn't it?
Yeah, they're fucking useless. I hate them.
They just disintegrate. What was? I don't know what we're thinking about with that.
I mean, what people should do is like what I've done here: buy yourself a metal straw that you can wash and reuse it as many times as you like. That way I'm not damaging the environment with my plastic straws, and I'm not cursing McDonald's for giving me a paper straw to drink a milkshake and it just immediately collapses. There's no structural integrity to a paper straw.
No.
So yes, fuck paper straws.
Yeah. I love plastic straws. I'd love to. I'd like a proper straw, but then the metal straws. There's problems with that because then if you fall over and you've got a metal straw, that could go in your eye. It could go to the back of your throat.
It can happen with a knife or a fork or even a spoon.
You don't walk around with a knife pointed at you in a cup, do you?
Do you walk around drinking drinks with a straw?
Yes.
Okay.
People do.
Okay.
Have you ever seen people walking out of Starbucks with an iced drink?
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, it happens all the time.
Yeah. No, I guess you're right.
Some of those people will have a metal straw, and a smaller number of those people will die as a result.
I feel like we need statistics on this to understand how many metal straw related accidents there are in the world.
No, just take me on my word that people will die
because of the metal straw.
But yeah, Bex, definitely get rid of paper straws. Yes, I agree, and cutlery. With the paper cutlery,
I'll say
you get that as well.
Is that actually a thing? I've never seen paper cutlery.
They have it at McDonald's. So occasionally, because I reject carbs in the main, and therefore, if I'm really peckish, I can go to McDonald's and just get like a burger, but just the patty.
Yeah.
So the patty of the cheese. The best bit. Also, it's just beef and cheese. Not real cheese, but
not real beef either.
But it is beef. I mean, it's beef and salt. I mean, you can't go too far.
So bland.
It's not great cut, but it's beef at least.
So bland. Donald sucks.
Anyway, it's better than bread. That's bland. Anyway, let's not argue about what's bland.
Me, beef. I'm bland. There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, so they give you a knife and fork, but it's a paper knife and fork, not even a plastic knife and fork. Obviously not plastic because they want to save the dolphins.
I mean, I thought wooden. That's because that's the thing from taking. Subway does wooden knives and forks.
Yeah, but let's be clear about that as well. If you go into Costa Coffee, and instead of having a spoon you have like the little stirrers, so you used to have a plastic spoon, now you get these stirrers.
Crappy
Well, first of all,
things.
you need a fist for the bloody things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need 5 or 6 at least to kind of create the level of resistance that you used to have with a spoon.
Yeah.
And then where do you put them? Do you put them in the special wood recycling bin? No, you don't. You put them in with the rest of the waste, and the rest of the waste gets tied up in a plastic bag and it goes to landfill.
I mean, I put them in recycling.
But there isn't recycling, because if you're at the little station thing at Costa, and you've got your sugar and your this and your that and your whatnot, and you got your stirrers. There's normally like a hole.
Yeah, sometimes they just have one hole so everything goes in there. I mean,
one hole, everything goes in. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And then so it all goes into the same place. So the fact that it's made of wood and not plastic makes very little difference.
I mean,
certainly for the few thousand years that it sits in landfill.
I mean, I question the recyclability of wooden cutlery anyway.
Yeah.
It's made of a cutter. Someone has cut that from a piece of wood. It's not even like it's been mashed down and reconstituted and shaped as such. It's not. It's someone's taken a plank of wood, cut it into thin strips, and then a laser cutter or a stamp, a press has come down and stamped that shape out. How do you then recycle that? How do you recycle wood? David will know. David knows a lot about this kind of stuff. He's piped up many times about sustainability and stuff in our live stream. So, how do you recycle wood? Genuinely, apart from just setting fire to it.
Well, that's probably one way of recycling it.
Yeah, well, you just turn it into fuel, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah.
But anyone? Hang on. Why am I'm reading my own bloody message there. Wait. What do we got? Paper straws and cutlery. Yes, they're rubbish. Ruby says the system in general is crap.
Talking about the justice system.
Every system. Oh, I see.
Yeah, the justice system.
Yeah.
Securing guilt's a lot easier these days with DNA and such. I mean, yeah, it's true. DNA surveillance.
Yes and no. Yes and no, because the thing is, when you get like CCTV, and usually it's grainy and shit. Yeah. And then people can say, "Well, it wasn't me because I was wearing a different hat."
It's getting better nowadays, though. HD cameras and really decent technology that exists now. I mean, 10 years ago works. It was always grainy bullshit, and yeah.
But the thing is, that works. It's all very well saying DNA and cameras and stuff. But the thing is, what that doesn't do is it doesn't instruct you in terms of what somebody's motive was, or what they did when they got there, or when they were there, or when they left DNA, for want of a better way of putting it. Okay. Because whether them leaving DNA was because they left it without consent, that's still up for question in the court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the fact that there's DNA, it catches people out if they're trying an alibi. So if you say, well, it couldn't have been me because I was in Marks and Spencer's at 3:00, but actually there's DNA that proves you were right there in, I don't know, Woolworths at 2:00.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's where it can catch somebody out.
Yeah.
Well, but if they say, yeah, I was there, but I didn't do it, then the fact that there's evidence of them being there won't necessarily help the case because they've already said they're there.
No, but it's one piece in a puzzle, and it's when it comes to justice, it's about gathering all of the pieces and building that big picture. It's not just saying, oh, well, you must have murdered this person because your DNA exists there. It's like, well, no, because I've just told you that I was there visiting.
Yeah.
Your job is to prove my guilt. I've given you information of why I was there, and you have confirmed that I was there. Now you have to figure out what I did while I was there, which is that, if you wish to contradict what I've said, you have to prove that. So you have to go and get the rest of the evidence, which might be fingerprints on the knife or, something else. Skin under the old CSI thing. Skin under the nails is the one they used to do all the time on CSI. They'd be like, oh, but we've got their skin sample, which means they scratched you, and we can see you've got scratch marks on your face. Therefore, it must be, and all that stuff. The whole that is not just saying, oh, that's the be all and end all. It's just another tool in the arsenal of the justice system to try to prove what you say is incorrect.
But that is the main reason why anybody would do a no comment interview, is because if you say nothing, that can't be held against you later.
Yeah.
Because if you say no, I was in Woolworths, then later on they can say no, you were clearly in somewhere completely different.
Yeah.
If you say all I did was talk to the person and then I moved away, then later on when they say, we found something under their fingernails, but you never said that there was any physical contact. So yeah, saying as little as possible is useful from that point of view.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to give tips on how to get off of things.
How to get away with murder with CJ and Ted.
A masterclass.
Yeah.
David says you're on the lines of the film called Minority Report. Now, which one was that? Was that the pre-crime thing?
Yeah, I think that was one to do a pre-crime. So they'd have people, whatever they called them, and little balls would roll down the thing, and it'd have a name and the crime and things written on it, and they'd go and arrest them before they did it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was Minority Report. Yeah.
Okay. Why was that relevant?
I don't know. I don't remember what we spoke about.
Don't understand that. Come back to us, David.
Yeah.
Tell us what we were saying that made you think that.
Memory of a goldfish, me.
Paper straws do suck.
Okay. We see what you did there, Mama Steinhoff. We see.
David, mash up the wood and reuse for paper and so on. Yeah, but you can't do that if it's been stuck in a bag along with a load of tissues and cups and old bits of coffee.
But the thing with the whole recycling thing is, okay, all the recyclables go into one thing, and then some poor sod down at the recycling centre has to go through it all and separate it into plastics and wood and paper and all this stuff. And
the worst thing is when you hear about where people are separating all their recycled stuff into various bins, and then they come along and they pick them all up individually, and then when they get back to the depot, they just throw it all in together, and it all goes into landfill.
Thing is, I've seen it when where my parents live, they have like individual boxes. You have a box for the glass, you have a box for the paper, and you have a box for plastic. The truck will come round and they'll pick all three of them up at the same time. So what was the point in that?
And put them in the same thing.
Put them in the same bin. Yeah, put them in the same truck. What was the point? Why do you want me to separate this? It's ridiculous. But there are so many ridiculous things like that when it comes to recycling. So like that was one of them. So when I lived in Bedford, I had a recycling bin. What I was not allowed to put in a recycling bin was glass. I had to take the glass to a recycling centre myself, and I just went, why? Because it's all going to the same place to be sorted anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm still putting plastic and paper in there, so they've still got to sort through that. So why can't they do glass as well?
Yeah.
And what I'd actually start doing is just putting the glass at the bottom of the bin, and then putting paper and plastic on top. Because I'm not making a special trip to the tip to get rid of. No, piss off.
Yeah.
I will do my bit for recycling, and I will put it in the recycling bin. Because the other option is I put it in the general waste bin.
Yeah. And
I'm trying to be a bit more environmentally conscious, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to hide it in the recycling bin, and you guys can do what we pay you to do through our council tax and income tax and all this stuff, and you guys can you can sort through it and recycle it for me. Because I guarantee you, they're not getting glass back in that recycling centre and then going, oh, but it's glass, throwing it in the general waste.
Yeah,
they're not. They're going to recycle it because that's what it's there for. I was like, what a ridiculous concept. Because I found this one out. So it wasn't long after I moved in there, and I had my recycling bin, full of stuff because I just moved in. I bought a load of stuff. And then I had a friend come around and we were watching American football. And we had some beers. And I put the bottles in the thing and put it out to be collected. And literally, the bin men had taken out the bottles from my bin and put them on the floor and then emptied the bin. And I remember looking at it like, what's that? And then my neighbour came and I was just like, why have they? And she went, oh yeah, you can't put glass in the bin. I was like, watch me. I fucking can and I will. So I literally every week just started putting glass at the bottom. If I had glass to recycle, it went at the bottom.
Yeah.
But I'm not playing this stupid game. You know, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It was like, and the stupid prize for them is they still have to deal with my glass. I've just been a bit more clever about it. So.
David's come back with we were going on about people being guilty and proving their guilt, and then finding a technology to do it. It was at the beginning of the subject.
Yeah, thanks, David. Again, we're memory of a goldfish.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about the Minority Report thing, Ted. Just
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't even know what that was based on. How did they ever find out what people were? Well, it's fiction. I ignore that. That's fiction.
I was going to say, do you really want to go into that?
No.
I'm guessing not.
No. It's not real. It's not real.
Exactly.
I
say that every day while I'm at work. I'm like, it's not real. It's not real. And then I open my eyes. I'm like, shit, I'm still in this meeting.
Yeah. So anyway, back to inventions.
Yes.
Murder is not an invention.
It is not an invention.
Neither is any of the stuff that we've been talking about for probably the last 15 minutes. So let's get back. Let's get back to things that have been invented that we could probably do without.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you what, there's people out there that would say the car.
There were many people that would say the car.
When I say some people, I mean the sort of people who would get orange dye and throw it all over Stonehenge.
Okay. I was going to say cyclists.
I'm talking about. Just stop oil.
Yeah. These idiots that sit in the middle of the road on in the middle of a motorway because they think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
To stop traffic.
Or throw paint or whatever it was all over Stonehenge.
Yeah.
They probably should be. No, hang on. No, I'm thinking about YouTube guidelines now. No, they should be told off sternly, I think. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think the people in these organisations need somebody like us.
Yeah.
So when they go, this weekend we're going to go off and we're going to throw paint over Stonehenge, and then we'd literally just kind of lean forward at the table and just be like, why?
Yeah.
Tell me why. To show these oil people that would. What the fuck has Stonehenge got to do with it?
Yeah.
What's love got to do with it? Don't ask. But yeah, I'd just be like, what the fuck has Stonehenge got to do with it? Why are you going to deface an ancient monument in the UK because you think oil barons are bastards?
Yeah. And more to the point, how is that ever going to get your point across?
Exactly.
Okay. Right. We don't like oil. So our best way forward is to make sure that we alienate as much of the general public as possible.
Yep.
So I suggest what we do is our first job will be to get in the way of the roads, so people can't drive around and ambulances can't get to emergencies.
Yep. Fire engines can't go and put out fires, and people are going to die because of your stupidity.
Yeah, we'll take something that is the basis of our legal system and all of our freedoms, and we'll go and attack that. And then we'll go to Stonehenge, an ancient monument, and we'll attack that. In fact, we'll go after everything that is actually good about the country that has very little to do with oil, apart from the cars.
But you'll remember it, and I'm sure any UK-based audience members will remember this. The whole
Shilling?
no, not the shilling. the process, the process outside the oil refineries. Like in Scotland, so where they made all the petrol and diesel, and blocking the refineries so the trucks can't get out and can't deliver fuel. That was a whole thing. I mean, surely that had more of an impact than throwing paint on Stonehenge.
Yeah. When was that?
God, that must have been 20 years ago. More, maybe more.
A while ago. Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Is that when we had a shortage of petrol?
There was a whole fuel crisis because of it, because the trucks couldn't get out of the depots. They couldn't deliver to the petrol stations, and people panic bought, and basically everywhere it more or less brought the country to actually, I think it did bring the country to a halt.
Yeah.
And there was a severe shortage for emergency vehicles and all that stuff. It was bad. Yeah, that was a bad time.
Yeah, I had military ID. I just went out and got a full tank. That was fine.
Yeah, exactly. Just rock up to an RAF station and be like, "Can I just fill up?" Yeah, cheers, thanks. Can't do that now. All on key fobs and shit now. Yeah. You can't just go and fill your car up whenever you want. But anyway, I feel like that was more impactful than, like, say, throwing paint on Stonehenge.
Yeah, much more.
David's just made a really good point. He's like, I bet they used a car to get to Stonehenge.
Well, this is the other thing. How do they get about?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure they're not cycling there.
No,
I'm sure they're not.
They're all driving their freaking Volkswagen buses, That's what they're doing, which is burning petrol, or diesel or whatever it is that they use. They don't run on freaking sunflower oil. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, but it's like clockwork. Every time, like with Just Stop Oil and with Extinction Rebellion before that, every time there'd be like, well, there's major protests going on, and then the leaders of the protest are next seen on a plane.
Yeah.
On their way off to a skiing holiday, having done their the very sort of privileged sort of cause. Well, they then go off and
having done their very best to take the money off of the followers so they can pay for that first class ticket to Sweden and to go skiing, or wherever. I assumed it was Sweden, but. It's the old Greta Thunberg thing, isn't it? How dare you?
It's Switzerland, isn't it?
Whatever. Yeah. I don't know. Do I look like a guy that goes skiing?
No, you don't.
Because I've never been skiing in my life.
No. I went to a dry slope ski. Take all of those words, turn it into a sentence, and that's what I meant. So I've been to one of those when I was much younger, on the sort of baby slope thing. Didn't get on with it. Didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was like sort of sliding around on like a brush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen though, and like it literally looks like grass or astroturf, just longer, and it's obviously very slippery, and that's yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've never been on a dry slope.
Like a lattice type of pattern as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen plenty of them. Never been on one. I think my brother's been on a dry slope before. No, I've never. I tried going snowboarding once. I just thought I was being cool.
People go skiing and they come back with broken legs.
Yeah.
I mean that puts me off immediately.
The thing with snowboarding, like I say, I went to try snowboarding. I had a lesson or a day's worth of lessons or whatever, snowboarding. Never went back because it was exhausting. I was absolutely fucked by the time I got home. I was so tired. My legs hurt. And then I kind of started thinking about it. And with a ski, if you fall over with a ski, the ski pops off. That's just kind of how it's there, designed to do that. It doesn't happen with snowboards. That board is strapped to your leg. So if something happens, you're attached. You're not getting free of that thing to whatever. And some might say that's safer. I don't know. That thought went through my head. I was like, oh yeah, if something actually happens, like if I don't know, if I fall over, that snowboard is sticking to my feet. And probably won't end up in it'll probably end up being a bad day.
Yeah.
Anyway, how do we get onto that? I don't know.
Just going skiing would be a bad day as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Let's uninvent skiing.
Let's uninvent skiing. I think there's bigger fish to fry than that. If people want to go skiing and break the legs, let them go skiing and break the legs. At least they're flying there, and that annoys the just stop oil people. So that's worth it.
Yeah.
David says about the 80s. What about the 80s?
Is that the fuel crisis thing that we were talking about, David? Was that the 80s? I thought it was maybe 90s.
No. It's it would have been I think 2000.
Yeah.
I think what we were talking about there was 2000. Now back in the 80s, it's probably more likely to be lorry driver strikes.
Yeah.
That sounds like the sort of thing it would be.
Yeah, driver strikes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we think the year 2000.
Google it.
Google it.
Yeah, someone Google it and let us know.
Yeah, Google it. Come back to us.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, back to inventions. So So I don't think the car was a bad invention.
No.
I think we've been able to do so many things with the car now that actually, even if we're finding alternatives for, so that we're not using all the oil, we're not burning fuel in the way that we did, fine. But I think we had to do it to get to the point where we're at.
Yeah.
So I think that's worthwhile.
Yeah, I think the car's a good invention, even just being able to explore beyond your immediate area, beyond walking distance, beyond cycling distance. You can see other places, same with planes and boats and all that stuff. It gives you the opportunity to do more and see more and transport stuff around the world.
Well, counter argument to that would be we built an empire without the car.
True.
And without power in boats even. That was using sails.
Yeah. 50% off.
Yes.
Terrible jokes. Terrible jokes. I don't know. What else would I uninvent? We mentioned drugs, didn't we?
Yeah, we did mention drugs.
Yeah, just get rid of drugs.
I keep on coming back to drugs.
Yeah.
I don't know if we could take drugs as a whole and say all drugs, but then we've still got the problem that some things are discovered and not invented.
True.
Poppy fields of what do they make with that? The
marijuana.
Heroin.
Oh, heroin. Sorry, yeah.
Heroin.
Yeah. What am I talking about?
There. But the heroin, cannabis.
Yep.
Those things are grown.
Mm.
I know things can be cultivated, and you can sort of cross-cultivate things and make them the way you want them to be. But I think the basic plant would have existed originally.
Yeah.
So in theory, picking it off and trying to smoke it or stick it up your nose or eat it or whatever it would, that's still going to happen.
Mm. I just want to know who thinks it's a good idea. So we spoke about tobacco early on, and it's like, so who looked at a tobacco plant and, like you say, they started chewing it and went, oh, this is an interesting flavour, and I'm getting a bit of a buzz. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry it, grind it, wrap it in paper, and set fire to it, and inhale the smoke.
Yeah.
Why?
But a lot of things happen by accident. You see, the thing is, how many years, and it could be lots and lots of years, I mean, many years of tobacco being naturally found growing.
Mm.
And bear in mind, I might be completely talking through my hat, and it was invented by a man named Jeff.
My name Jeff.
A man named Jeff, and so this could be absolute rot. But if it just grew naturally, how long would it take for somebody to clear a field and go, I'm just going to burn this rubbish?
Yeah.
And they go, Oh, it smells quite nice.
Interesting aroma.
Getting a bit of a buzz out of that. Quite like that.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. But
like
the same with
penicillin. Great invention.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it come from? Something moldy bread or whatever it was.
That was mold, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Basically mold.
Yeah. Which is weird because basically mold can kill you.
Yeah. There was a really good story about something like to do with penicillin. It was like the guy who invented or discovered penicillin was helping someone else who basically invented. Was it the guy who invented WD-40?
Right.
There was like this weird synergy between the two. Like somebody needed something, and they ended up discovering penicillin to help somebody else, who then discovered something else which helped that first person. And it was some, I don't know. I'd have to look it up, and maybe next week we'll talk about that. Yeah, I'll do my own research on that one. But yeah, I just remember being fascinated by it. But yeah, anyway, back to but like I said, anything like that, the cannabis plant again. Who looked at a cannabis plant and went, I'm just gonna dry that out, grind it, and smoke it. Who looked at a poppy, and went, I'm gonna pick it, dry it, grind it, and then I'm going to put it, grab a teaspoon of it, heat it, stick it in a syringe, and jam it in my veins. What's the thought process? That's really what I want to know. I want to know where the thought process is in any of this, and because I also think about, who looked at a cow and went, okay, the calf is drinking the milk from the cow. I wonder what that tastes like. I'm going to have a go. Oh, this actually isn't too bad. I'm going to start fucking... And I'm going to sell it to people.
It's a bit... Yeah, it's kind of weird, but also at the same time, it sort of makes sense in a way because, because we have breast milk. We don't. Because women have breast milk. So we know that that's a thing.
Pretty sure my milkshake will bring all the boys to the yard.
Oh, really the wrong type of boys. Because the cow will produce lots of milk, so you discover that cows produce lots of milk.
Yeah.
And if it's similar to human milk, or similar enough, then it's edible. Well, people, I don't know. That seems like an obvious one.
Well, but I get the thought process of, cows produce a lot of milk. And it's obviously there for the calves, so the calves can drink the milk. You assume at this point that probably cows reproduce more often than we let them, because we want to breed cows to make milk. But like I say, who looked at a calf drinking milk from a cow and just went, "There's a bit of a surplus here. Maybe I can market this." I can't wrap my head around it. Because you don't do that with every animal. We don't go around baboons and start draining their milk, do we?
Well, no, but then the baboons are smaller, aren't they? I don't think they produce a lot of milk. Do you remember back in the day, and probably about 6 years ago, we had an episode of the Tuesday show dedicated to milk.
We really did.
And we, yeah.
We really
That's
did.
not even a joke.
No.
We had an episode of the Tuesday show all about milk.
We've come a long way since then, folks.
Yeah, we've come full circle. We're talking about milk again. And I think we did go down the line of can you milk a cat and all that sort of business.
Yeah.
And we did talk about different types of milk you can get. And, that's something you constantly update because there's always a new type of milk. Every day there's a new type of bloody milk, not just like normal milk. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. So anyway, to the milk thing, I think we've already decided that some animals are bigger than others, and some of them will produce an amount of milk that's worthwhile collecting. A cow, it definitely produces the most amount of milk that's worth collecting. And even as humans know that as long as you keep breastfeeding, you will keep lactating.
Yeah, you'll keep producing milk as long as there's something or someone there to remove it.
So as long as you're taking milk from a cow, it will keep producing, in theory.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That's just deduction, and also having a quick glass of milk that came out of a cow and going, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, we'll harvest this.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I just want to understand the thought process that goes behind.
It's less weird than thinking, what should I do with all this wheat? I know what I'll do. I'll take all the wheat and I'll knock the wheat away from the chaff.
Yeah.
And then I'll build a mill and I'll grind down all this and then
wrap it in paper and set fire to it.
Wrap it. What?
I'm breathing this. It was a callback to. Never mind. Carry on.
Right. Okay. So make flour and go. Okay. Now we've got this flour. Then I'm going to get some yeast. Okay.
Yeah.
Who? What? Why would you even think of that? And then get an oven, and then get all the proportions exactly right, and then end up with the loaf of bread.
My thought process around where yeast came from was so wrong in that moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to mix this with water, or I've got a bit of an itch.
Yeah. I'll sit on this as it proves.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, so yeah. So back to inventions. I think bread is a reasonable invention. It stopped a lot of people from going hungry.
It really did.
It really did.
But if there was an invention for me to get rid of that would directly affect my life, it would be bread.
Right. Or maybe sugar would be refined sugar.
Yeah, I think refined sugar is probably a better one, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something to strike off the list.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of refined sugar. Yeah.
E numbers. The food color, blue. Didn't they link that to like autism or something at one point?
Yeah, blue Smarties. That was the thing, wasn't it? It was always blue Smarties, or send your kids crazy.
Yeah, I think it was like linked to autism or ADHD or something. It was like, oh yeah, E numbers are bad for you. You know, the fuck is an E number anyway?
I mean, anything that's just a series of numbers and letters is going to be bad for you, isn't it? I mean, it's not going to be good. It's not a natural ingredient.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, in terms of I think apart from things like refined sugar, and some people might argue, use of I know what's an invention that we could have done without. It's probably not the one. I wouldn't pick this over anything else. But CFCs, that was a mistake.
That was a big mistake, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the ozone. Who needs it?
I don't know.
We do.
We don't get a report back on this.
No, and
where's the ozone layer now? Where are we up to with that?
I was going to say, isn't it weird how the cycles change and the big, even big news items that hang around for a long time eventually just kind of slip away and we forget about it. Like like you said, the ozone layer. Apparently there's a massive hole in it.
Yeah, where are we up to with the hole?
Giggity. Exactly. Someone Google it and let us know. Because that's very much fallen off the news cycles now. It's
they were producing all sorts of graphics and showing, look, this is where the hole is, as though it was a thing. Right, and maybe a bit of artistic license to allow us to visualize it as a hole in an ozone layer.
Yeah, I
get that, but I want to see the updated version.
Yeah, I want to see the updated data.
Yeah, no hole at all. A bit of a hole. Who knows?
Have we fixed it?
Have we? Who knows?
Do we just stick a band-aid over it? Or, plaster for the UK.
Yeah.
A big thing, like I remember being in school when I was very, very, very young, and there was big things on the wall, and it's like there is only 40 years of oil left in the world. That was 30 years ago.
Well, they said we were going to run out of oil in the 70s.
Well, there you go.
I'm pretty sure that didn't happen.
No. Oh well, we're still.
Mind you, we used to have. Okay, at school, I distinctly remember, and this isn't like a Mandela effect thing, right? I definitely remember seeing this. There was a map of Britain. And it had the like a shrunken coastline, And it really was predicting just a few decades.
Yeah.
And how the sea levels would rise.
Yeah, global warming, all that stuff.
Yeah. No, that didn't happen.
Oh.
In fact, none of it happened. And then we had global warming. Yeah. Global warming was the thing. And we've been talking about global warming for a very long time. And now we just talk about climate change.
Yeah. I think global warming generally has been debunked.
Because we're just not warm enough. So we now have to move on to something else.
So now it's just all about climate change, and it's like about how, the weather's... But it's basically, the basis is the weather has changed.
Mm.
Someone goes, oh, it's a bit hot today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it wasn't this hot this time last year.
Yeah, that'll be that climate change.
Yeah, that's it. Blame it on climate change.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I remember reading some articles like around 9/11 was one, and COVID was another.
Mm-hmm.
Planes aren't flying, and there was reported increases in temperatures of a couple of degrees. It doesn't sound like a lot, but they were making such a big deal out of it. I'm like, 9/11 happened, so all of the planes have been grounded, and now the temperature's gone up, and we literally just went, yeah, we call that autumn or fall in America.
All right.
And the same happened with COVID-19 as well. March rolled around, end of March, lockdown, almost worldwide in a day. A couple of days, the world stopped. Planes stopped flying, cars stopped driving, all this stuff going on. And then somebody goes, it's a bit warmer today. Yeah, it's springtime, dickhead. Of course it's warmer. It's going to get warmer because that's what spring is. And then we have this massive heat wave in the April. And I remember that, not long after having to stay at home for COVID, sitting out in the garden, for a week in April and it being glorious sunshine. Do you want to blame that on the fact that no one's driving and polluting the atmosphere? Because surely that would have the opposite effect. With less pollutants in the air holding the heat in, surely it would be cooler, right? Because that was the whole thing about global warming was, we got to stop our emissions because it's heating the planet up. Because all the heat is being reflected back down.
But the argument would be, you don't look at it on a day-by-day basis or an afternoon-by-afternoon basis. You got to kind of zoom out and look at the big picture.
Yeah.
The problem is, if you zoom out and you keep zooming out, you find that actually we're on a cool.
Yeah. I mean, it has been pretty cool the last month where I am. It hasn't been nice. It hasn't been nice at all. It's been raining and all sorts for the last month.
They go back a few hundred years, we're cooling.
Yeah.
So, who's to know what to think?
Exactly.
It's almost as though what we've done since the Industrial Revolution hasn't had the impact that some people say it had.
No, exactly.
It has.
I know someone who knows.
David.
And his name is David. And he's come in. The experts have realised that the Earth has its own unique seasonal pattern, and it changes over the years, and it happens every 13,000 years. Precisely.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about the Ice Age, and it's like, but the Earth goes through an Ice Age every so often. It's like, and actually, we're heading towards the next Ice Age. That's what's actually happening right now. It's and I'm not saying that we should continue polluting the atmosphere at all, because that is bad. We are killing the ozone layer. But we're not doing good things. What we are actually doing is kind of speeding up the process, I believe. We're speeding up that process of change. Like I say, the world is cooling down, or the world is warming up, or whatever it is that we're doing.
Whatever it is today.
Yeah, we're accelerating that. I believe that's what we're doing. But it's like, when I think about the seasons, I go, think 30 years ago, we would get snow at Christmas. We would have, nice winters, but your more typical winters here in the UK. Now it's, you get to mid-December, it's still quite mild, and it's raining. We're not getting snow, but what we do end up with is 2017. We're recording in the studio, and the beast from the east strikes, and we're suddenly like, oh shit, there's a crap ton of snow outside in the middle of May. in the UK, which was unheard of at that point. Yeah, and then you go a few years before that, it snowed in April. Go a few years before that, it snowed in March. I remember coming home from school. The year was 2004. On my way home from school, stopped by the opticians to pick up a new pair of glasses. Bright, glorious sunshine when I went in. I was in there for about 10 minutes, came out, as a foot of snow on the floor. Yeah. And that's not an exaggeration, by the way. It was literally, and the whole, the town standstill, couldn't move. It was such a freak snowfall.
Well, we never expect it when it comes anyway, when it comes to snowfall. But the thing is, when we're talking about, tens of thousands of years, when we're talking about looking at the bigger picture, you've got to remember that when we say, well, it's unheard of for us to get, this much snow in May, or this happened in a March, or whatever it may be. These times, they're only May or March because human beings have got to a point where they've developed and created a calendar and decided that that's May and that's March and that's December. And that's what we like to call winter. And we're going to call this summer. And we're going to have a spring. Yeah, we've created that.
We want to develop patterns.
The weather does what weather does.
Yeah.
And we've kind of taken that and named things after it to an extent. So I don't hold to that very, very closely. But we had like the year I was born was incredibly hot.
Yeah.
And then there's been a lot more emissions, or whatever you want to call it, since then, because that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Personally, as far as the environmental side of things go, I'm more concerned about I'm more concerned about pollution. I'm more concerned about making the environment a nice place for us and for animals and such like, and protecting places, rather than worrying about what the sky gods are going to do to us in 10 years' time. Because all of those predictions, almost all of those predictions, because somebody will predict, no, it's going to be more or less the same. But most of these predictions that we get saying, oh, doom is coming, are always wrong.
That's always wrong.
And then they always change it. We got 10 years, or we got 5 years, or we've just got 3 more years before we can to save the planet.
Who was that famous guy that kept making all those predictions that were completely wrong? Not Nostral something.
Nostradamus. Yep.
Yeah, he's one. Just like, oh yeah, the world's going to end in 2000 whatever.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Still here.
Yeah.
Just crazy people.
Yeah.
David's come in with an interesting comment. We created time itself. You may say we invented time.
Well, we did.
We invented time, and then I think there's a concept we could do without.
Time? Yeah.
Wake up when you want. Do go to bed when you want. Before time, people would just wake up when the sun came up, and they go to bed when the sun went down, because there was also no lights at that point. That was get rid of time.
But we have years and we have days, and that's based on the going around the sun, all that sort of business, and spinning around. Get that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we work with that, and then for some reason we're always a day out or something. It always gets confused. And then we have leap years. It's like nobody knows what the hell we're doing with this anyway. But yeah, so we've created the concept of time, it's hardly surprising it doesn't necessarily fit in perfectly with whatever we decide the seasons are going to be.
The bit I love about what you just said there is, so yes, we invented time, we created time, yet we still fucked it up. One day is not 24 hours. One day is 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4 seconds. That is the reason why we need a leap year, is to catch up with that time difference. So even though we've invented time, someone still fucked it up. So we still have to make a correction every 4 years.
Yeah.
Why?
Also,
and also, why 24 hours?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was just about to say, this is one thing we don't count. We count everything else in tens.
Yeah.
So in terms of the metric system, we count everything else in tens. Mind you, the Americans seem to think that we're metric and nothing else. I don't think they quite realise that we drive around miles per hour. We drive 5 miles to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And if somebody says that something's X amount of kilometers, we haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
Or we'll say, oh, it's 300 yards or whatever. That's how we speak. And I think about even though we were taught about centimeters at school, I just think in terms of inches.
We're very strange here in the UK, though.
Yeah.
So, because I know we've discussed this before, but I remember a time watching the weather, and they would give you the temperatures in both Celsius and Fahrenheit. Yeah, we've dropped the Fahrenheit bit, so we're now on Celsius mostly. But like you say, we have this weird mix of imperial and metric. We still use miles and miles per hour. You're on a motorway, so when you're coming up to a junction. You have the marker countdowns of 3, 2, 1 markers. They're in meters. They're set 100 meters apart.
Oh, yeah. If
you're on an A road, they're in yards.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Which I find bizarre. It's just like, why is that a thing? We measure our weight generally in stone.
Yeah.
A lot of people have started moving over to kilograms. But we do a lot of measurements for food and stuff in grams and kilograms. We don't use cups and ounces. Sometimes we'll use ounces, but we measure fluid in liters and centiliters and all that stuff. We don't use fluid ounces anymore.
Yeah.
It's this weird mix of. But I remember reading a recipe actually on BBC, and it said, "Oh, you need 300 grams of this. Cool, and now you need 2 ounces of that." And I'm like. Blew my mind.
Yeah, we haven't quite worked it out, have we? I mean, there was actually happened today. A European man. I think he may have been the pasta ones. What are they called? Italian.
Right. Okay.
Anyway,
I was like, what?
Yeah. He asked me very politely if I could move my car slightly. Not a problem. And he said, yeah, if we could just move it over like half a meter. Now that took me a while to process.
Yeah.
Because if he'd said, oh, could you just move it, a couple of feet over that way?
Yeah, a couple of yard over there.
Immediately, I know what he means.
Yeah.
But there's a half a meter, like.
That's it. There's
what's half. What?
That's it. There's that as well. We'll measure things in feet and inches, but then we'll measure other things in meters.
Yeah.
And kilometers.
Yeah.
Why?
Height is
feet and inches.
Feet and inches.
Yeah. Like a person's height is measured in feet and inches. Yeah. I'll measure a room, or people will measure a room, or measure a car, or whatever in meters. Yeah, or millimeters. Engineering does a lot of things in millimeters now. I'm sure David will attest to that, being an engineering type. That's all millimeters. It's 2 mm or whatever. I mean, I can't wrap my head around, the imperial system for that. And like I say, when you go to America, it's all imperial. They'll be like, oh yeah, get the tape measure out. Oh yeah, that's 3 7/8 inches.
Yeah.
What's that in commie units, please? Because I don't know. I don't know what feet and inches is. I don't know what inches and half inches is.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Yeah, I think it's weird because there are certain things that in metric just don't make any sense at all. Like, why are we doing this in French?
Yeah. But again, imperial units of measurement. The gallon. We measure efficiency on vehicles in miles per gallon. In America, they measure it also in miles per gallon, but not the imperial gallon. The US gallon, which is smaller than the imperial gallon.
What's the US gallon then? 8 pints.
I don't know what. Fuck knows. Let me get my little measuring tool, my conversion tool out.
Oh yeah.
Right.
2 inches.
Here we go. Volume. Yes, the US pint and the imperial pint are different.
Oh.
So one Imperial pint is 1.2 US pints.
Really?
The Imperial gallon. Oh my god, that is a crazy conversion. 1 US gallon. Oh no, that's quarts. That's why I'm fucking confused. That confused the crap out of me there for a second. Right, hang on. Right, Imperial gallon. There we go. 1 Imperial gallon is 1.2 US gallons.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why is that a thing? I don't understand why that's a thing.
No, that's weird. The other thing is, now, again, this might be... this might be a false memory. If you're in the chat and you know, just pipe up, please. This may be a false memory, but I feel pretty sure that one time, a billion, a British billion was like, hang on.
A British billion was a million.
A million?
Yeah, it was.
Did I make that up?
No, you're absolutely correct. British billion was 1. So 1 billion was 1 and 3, 6, 9, 12 zeros.
And now we seem to have adopted it as being 1,000 million.
1,000 million, yeah. So, and that was it, because we'd go, 1,000, then a million, then 1,000 million, and then a billion. And now we've adopted the 1,000 million, billion, trillion.
Because there's a hell of a difference between 1,000 and a million.
Yes.
Anybody with £1,000 in the bank will know there's a difference between 1,000 and a million.
Yeah.
So why? How strange.
Yeah, I do remember that being taught that in school about the million was a billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why it changed. I think we got lazy. I think there's a lot of obviously further Western influence, so US influence on.
This is probably why we're so confused. With the metric system and the Imperial.
Yeah.
Because we have influences from the US, which keep us in the Imperial.
The Imperial scape. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, that's what I don't, because a lot of their Imperial measurements are different to our Imperial measurements. That's what I can't wrap my head around. It used to be one of my favourite things to say to, like a person I met who happened to be American. I used to love throwing the line out of, for a country that rejected imperialism, you sure love the imperial measurement system. But actually, again, as I've kind of grown and learned a bit more, even that is different.
Yeah.
The imperial, the US pint and the imperial pint are two different measurements. And you were right, it is 8 pints to a gallon, and that's for both US and imperial as well. So 8 US pints is 1 US gallon. 8 imperial pints is 1 imperial gallon.
Yeah.
But it's very strange that there's almost this complete rejection of metric until you get to computers.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, yeah, because bytes. Oh, no, that's not metric, is it? Is it?
You measure
I suppose it is, I suppose.
You measure fan size on a computer. That's measured in millimeters.
Oh, right.
You measure temperature for your CPU and your graphics card. It's all done in Celsius.
Right.
They don't do it in Fahrenheit. They don't do it in freedom units.
Yeah. See, so they're just as mixed up as we are.
Precisely.
Yeah. Mind you, I think they do it just to confuse themselves and everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like in the shops, they don't have the prices aren't displayed. They don't have the right prices displayed. That's the weirdest thing.
It is crazy.
So they have like purchase tax, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
We have VAT. Ours is always included. So whatever price you see is the price you pay.
The price you pay. Yeah.
They don't have that. They have a price, and then they have to work it out in their head. Whatever what is the purchase?
It varies by state. It varies.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Because we have discussed this before, and I've discussed this with the other half. It's like, surely it can't be that. So let's take a big chain. Let's say Walmart. They have, and I know this isn't the case, but let's say they did a standardization of cost across their business in every state. So a jar of peanut butter is the same price in Arizona as it is in New York, for example. And you go, okay, so, but then surely it's not that big a step to just add in the different state taxes to their to the little label they print out and their computing system, their checkout system and all that.
Yeah,
it can't be that big a step to add that in. It just can't be. It just can't be that hard. So, it might be 10% somewhere and then 9% somewhere else and 11% somewhere else. It does vary, but it's like, but you know what it is, or they know what it is, and they'll have region managers and directors and in-state people who run all of this, and they just go, well, okay, well, we know a jar of peanut butter is going to cost $5. We also know the state tax is 10%. So let's just print out a label that says $5.50.
And the funny thing about this is, right? We're talking about how they add taxes to their prices.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at one price, then you end up having to pay something else. So you're getting screwed over at the till every time you go shopping. Then think back. They kicked off with over about 2% on tea, and now look at them.
That's a retro reference.
It is. Anyway,
were you there for that?
No, it certainly wasn't. Tea, not tea. What did you just say? Retro reference. Yeah. I'm going to make a retro reference, and I'm going to reference our original question.
That is retro.
That definitely is retro. It feels like quite a long time ago.
What's that? That's so long ago.
It's so long ago. When I asked the question, I've lost it now. What was the question? The question was, if you could erase one invention from history, what would it be?
Tax. Now we've spoken about it. Tax.
It did occur to me as well.
Yeah, give it a tax. Don't need it.
I mean, taxation is theft. So, who needs theft?
Exactly. Who needs it?
Yeah. I tell you what, without taxation, then you've got nothing to even experiment with communism or any of that sort of nonsense. So we've killed two birds with one stone there.
Yep.
If nobody's living in a socialist country, they've got no need to murder anybody else. So we got rid of murder and we got rid of the death penalty.
There you go.
Yeah.
The world is a better place for it.
The world is indeed a better place. But if I had to pick something, I don't know. I think I would go for if I could just get all drugs together and say they are an invention and all in one. Possibly those.
Yeah.
Probably do the greatest amount of harm.
I'm going with alcohol. Alcoholic beverages. We don't need them. So somebody once told me they had a virgin mimosa. So obviously, if people don't know, when you say virgin anything, usually means the alcohol is removed. Mm-hmm. And anyone who knows what a mimosa is will realize that a virgin mimosa is just a glass of orange juice.
Right.
I think mimosa is orange juice and champagne.
All right.
Is a mimosa. So you take it.
I thought that was Bucks Fizz.
Oh, that's Bucks. Sorry, maybe it's vodka then. Maybe it's vodka or rum. It's orange juice and an alcoholic thing added to it. So if you get a virgin mimosa, it is just orange juice. And with that, drink your orange juice, kids. That's some good OJ.
Yeah, I don't like orange juice.
I don't mind it. I can't drink vast quantities of it though.
Well, I can't drink it. Well, I can drink it if it, I don't know what kind of emergency would have. Can you have an emergency about that? I don't know.
In an emergency, I'll drink orange juice.
Yeah.
There's a massive car crash on the motorway. There's blood everywhere. There's legs flying all over the place. Someone get me an orange juice.
Before we go, I am going to reference this because David has been useful in the chat. He's really given us information when we needed it. I don't know if we came back to it, but we were talking about the fuel crisis.
Yeah.
David pointed out that it was about the year 2000.
He did, yes. Thank you, David.
Which is, as I remembered it. Do you
remember Y2K?
Oh God! Actually, David's been pretty pretty thorough with a lot of things, actually.
Chatty.
He said, Chappy? What?
Chatty.
Chippies. What?
Chatty is what I said.
Oh, he's been chatty.
Yeah.
He's been chatty in the chat, yes. I think most drugs goes back to when there was a shaman, and there are ways of entering into a trance state.
Yeah, the old witch doctors and all that, and
yeah,
all that kind of thing, yeah.
There's still a hole in the ozone, but it hasn't changed much since the last 10 years.
There you go.
The experts have realized that the Earth has its own unique seasonal pattern, and it changes over the years. This happens every 13,000 years.
Yeah.
We won't see that change again. We created time itself. Do you remember Y2K? And I think he's referring to the panic that set in, that everything was going to
Planes will fall out of the sky.
Planes will fall out of the
computers will stop working. Dogs and cats will live together in harmony. It'll just be absolute chaos across the world. It didn't happen.
I mean, it was an interesting idea, though, wasn't it? That all of a sudden everything would go back to 1900.
Yeah.
And they go, so we didn't have planes in 1900, so they're going to fall out of the sky
because
they think it's 100 years before they were invented. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but when I've used spreadsheets for work and things like that, and I have because it did happen at one point. You'd type in let's say it's today's date in the year 2000. You might type in 22/06/00, and the spreadsheet would automatically populate it as 1900 rather than 2000.
Right.
That was a thing at one point, but again, it didn't break everything. My computer didn't shut down because it couldn't compute what I was trying to do. It didn't just go and burst into flames. No, it was bollocks.
Well, it's a nice little panic that the public can get behind, isn't it?
100%. And that's it. The public love a good panic. That's the thing. The public love a good bit of drama.
Yeah.
I don't like drama. I'm not a drama aficionado, or it's just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to ignore it. If something goes wrong, it'll go wrong. Fine, whatever. Y2K, no, I'm not going to worry about it. If it happens, it happens. I'll just make sure I'm not on a plane. I was never going to be on a plane anyway, but
No. Yeah, who's going to be even on a plane at midnight on December 31st, 1999?
Pilots?
Very few people, I would have thought.
Yeah, not many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, we do remember that. Anyway, I'll tell you another thing that I do remember, and is that you can, of course, DM me at Ted James Media if you want to keep this conversation going. You can also DM CJ at CJ Brooks FM. And, of course, you can email us at
cjandted@thetuesdayshow.co.uk.
There we go.
And before we wrap up, let's just say thanks to the people in the chat. David, been amazing, very, very active today. Mama Steinhoff, welcome to your first show. Appreciate you. Ruby, welcome back to this show. We missed you last week. And of course, Bex, thank you for tuning in and contributing as always. We love it. Everyone should say something in the chat every time. Everyone should say it in the chat, and more people should be in the chat. If you're lurking, get inside the chat and say hello. Yeah. And with that, goodbye. Bye. Da, 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 da. Sorry, I just realised I didn't say anything. We're still here. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye.